So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here at the Stonehaus in Westlake Village for our very first Bella Vida Collective Female Founder Connect. I'm so excited that you're here. I want to make this a monthly, if not every other month, event here in Westlake Village, because as I'm sure a lot of you feel, a lot of the events skip us and they're in LA or in Beverly Hills or West Hollywood, and I feel like, you know what, we need to have our own community of business leaders, women who are doing amazing things out here. So I wanted to bring that to our home, and I'm so excited that you guys are here as part of our very first one. We are recording. My podcast is called Living a Bella Vida. It's with Bella Vida magazine, and I am so excited that I have my friend Natasha Duswalt. Did I say that right?
Natasha Duswalt.
And she is the owner of Peak Models and Talent. We have a couple of her gorgeous models here. And I'm so excited that we're going to be talking about women in business and how it's really difficult for women to juggle because we have so many different hats that we wear. And, you know, it's not saying that men don't also do that, but as women, we really do kind of take the brunt of raising kids, being there for them emotionally when maybe we're exhausted because we've had a full day. And so I really wanted to address that and kind of talk about that with this lady, because she is a mom of
three boys,
amazing boys, who are two of which are here. One is a rock star, so he's too cool for us. Ryan Duswalt is in the band Thread, and they're taking off. So if you don't know me, I'm Erin Schmidt. I am the CEO of Bella Vida Santa Barbara Skincare and Bella Vida Magazine, and welcome to Living a Bella Vida. My guest today, again, is Natasha, and she has an incredible story of triumph over some really insurmountable challenges. And so, Natasha, thank you so much for joining me up here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming. Thanks for everything. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful location, and happy to be here.
Yeah, so I met Natasha through Craig Duswalt, who is a rock star coach. She is an incredible speaker, but we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about Natasha. And I love Craig, so I can give him a hard time. But Natasha has overcome some incredible things in her life. So Natasha, can you tell us just a little bit about how you grew up and how you really kind of, by the grit of your teeth, created this company and have been successful?
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So, yes, I had a little bit of a difficult journey, but it's one of those journeys that is here for a reason. And I grew up here in the Valley in Canoga Park area, and at 10 years old, my mom decided to leave the planet. And with that, I was pretty much on my own. My father was not really present, and I ended up in foster care, and that was for about a year. And then I had this wonderful angel in my life, which was my grandmother, and she moved back from Michigan to take care of me, which was really just a godsend for me, because without her, I don't know what would have happened. I ended up going to Boys and Girls Club after school every few days just to take ballet classes, and I went and played piano and did my thing, and I ended up in Hollywood, and then by fate, I got bused back to the Valley, because that was that time of life where they're like, all the kids in Hollywood, we want to send you back to Sherman Oaks to go to school there. So I was the first kid on the bus and the last kid dropped off, just to give you a little background there. It was great on one hand because I learned how to deal with everybody, because when you are on a bus for many hours of the week, you see everything and you meet everyone. And that was my training ground of knowing people and getting to know people. And then as I grew up, I ended up saying, what am I going to do? I went to college for a short spell, about a year, and I was like, I'm not really like figuring it out here, because I really needed to work. And so I fell into the modeling industry. Somebody offered me to try on dresses down in downtown LA. Started doing that. I'm like, this is great. I can make some money and try on dresses. And as I went through that process, I realized quickly that it was about showing up. Like, nobody seemed to want to show up. And I did, because I needed to get paid, because I didn't have a family there to support me at that time. So I just started showing up for every job, every gig, never said no. At $50 to try on bridal gowns and walk a runway, I'm there. Because that $50 was going to pay for dinner for a couple days. So those little life skills just started like really becoming part of my core. And as I was going through life, I was like, okay, I've got this, but it was getting exhausting. And I had met Craig, and I wanted to have kids, and I'm like, I have to stay the same size because I'm doing this modeling business, and it can be really unforgiving, especially if you want to have children. So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna have kids, and we're just gonna try this out. I'll start this business. I'll help people get jobs, because that's what I needed when I started out. So started helping book other models and get them contracts. And I started Peak Models and Talent. And at that point, we were up and running. Years had gone by. Craig was up and running with his business. And he was going into the speaking industry shortly thereafter. And at one point, the kids are 1, 3, and 5, and I just didn't feel great. I had this weird dry cough, and it wouldn't go away for about a month. And at one point, I'm like, all right, somebody said, you should go to the doctor. That could be pneumonia. I'm like, who wants pneumonia? So I go, okay, I'm going to the doctor. I go, they do some tests, and they're like, okay, go home. Next day, I'm at the pumpkin patch. Craig gets a call, and they say, she should go to the hospital. I'm like, hospital? It's a cough. What could be so bad? And I don't want to go, but, they said, get over here. You got to get this thing looked at. It's a Friday night, 6 o'clock. I go to the hospital, and next thing I know, they're sticking needles in my neck. They're looking at everything. And before I know it, I'm in a waiting room. There's nobody else around. And I hear the doctor on the phone. He goes, feeling really bad for this girl. She's got 3 little kids. They're all under 5 years old, and it looks really bad. You got to get her in tonight. And I'm looking around going, oh, that poor woman. And not realizing it's me. And I was like, it's such a surreal moment where you go, oh, I'm the person they feel bad for, not what you want. On that note, I ended up figuring out that, within a very short amount of time it took to diagnose, and they wanted me to go home and just talk to your doctor next week. He'll let you know. I'm like, no. Let's just do this now. Just tell me what you found. I can handle it. I could not handle it. I literally started crying, like, why is this happening? Because he said, I'm sorry, you have Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer, and it's pretty far gone, and you have to start chemo, like, immediately. And me, in all of my great wisdom, decided, I don't really believe this. I'm going to go and get some other things checked into, and they were like, no, you are coming back Monday. We're doing surgery by Tuesday, and you're going into chemo Wednesday. Like, no time to think, no time to process. And as the doctor said, he basically said, look, you have a fire going. Let us put out the fire. You can figure out the rest later, but we got to put this fire out. And so I let them put the fire out. And clearly it worked, because I'm still here. But that fire translated into, I just want to help people. That's that's always been my driving, background thinking, is how can I help somebody else? Because I guess that probably comes from being a kid who didn't have a lot of help when I was younger. So they say you will become what you needed most. And what I needed most was help when I was younger. So now I help other people. And that's what I do. And clearly you do the same.
Yeah. That's so amazing. And so how old were you when you started your modeling agency?
Oh, I think, what year was that? Do you remember? 93?
1996.
Oh, 90.
96.
Oh, I met you in 92, 93.
And had you already given birth, or were you pregnant at the time?
2000, we had our first baby.
Okay, so it was before all
Yes,
of that. Okay.
yes.
How do you feel like that changed? Like, when you were going through all of that, like, did you have help, or were you still juggling everything yourself? Did Craig step up? Yep. Okay.
Yes, Craig
So
stepped
thank
up.
God for our husbands, and I want to acknowledge Brady Schmidt, my husband, who is incredible, who helped me set this up, who's my wingman and chief investment advisor, and just all around amazing guy. Yes. And I know Craig is just like that. He's like in the trenches with you. So it's so important, right? And not every woman has that, right? So that's part of what I wanted to talk about tonight, is that, you know, we all have our own story, right, of incredible challenges we've had to overcome, surgeries, divorces, illnesses. I have a daughter with autism. I've gone through divorce, and running my business at critical times, it was just like, do I give up, or do I just take a break? And I've always said, you know, the people who made it through and are the most successful people out there, they didn't quit. They just said, I need help. I need to take a break. I need to, you know, hand this task to somebody else, because otherwise I'm going to have a mental breakdown or whatever, be in the hospital. So, like, what were some of the things that really helped you to kind of get over all of that, other than your health improving, obviously, but from not quitting while that was all going on?
Yeah, that was, there was no quitting, because if I quit the business, that was my livelihood, so I couldn't let that go. But at the same time, I needed to fight for my life. So I had to balance that and say, I need to step back and take care of the health side, which you get a lot of time to read everything, and thank goodness I had that time. As much as it sounds so counterintuitive when I say it, but at the time that I got diagnosed with this nightmare, I remember there was a relief for me. I was like, oh, thank goodness, now I can slow down. And you don't want to be at the point where you're working so overdrive that you're happy to get diagnosed with cancer, because that's going to slow you down. That is not the way. So you have to almost check yourself on the daily and go, am I at the point where I'm so overloaded that I would be relieved if I got a bad health report? No, I'd rather not ever do that again. But I remember very clearly that thought crossed my mind, and I literally felt relief. I'm like, oh good, somebody else is going to handle this, and somebody else is going to worry about this, because I was just so exhausted. I think I was physically, mentally drained. So, no, right?
Yeah, and I think as women, we all take on too much. You know, we don't take care of ourselves because we're so busy thinking about everyone else and our kids, and oh, well, I gotta go pack their lunch, and they need to have their school pictures, so they need to get a haircut, and you're running around doing these things. And it's not that dads don't think about that, but I think most of the dads here would admit that they don't think about it as much as we do. If you were a single dad, you would, but not every single dad gives a crap about any of that either. So, it's a stereotype to say that. I know there are a lot of really amazing men out there, and some of them are here supporting their ladies, and I thank them for being here too. But I think that as we enter into different phases of our life, becoming a mom, getting married for the first time, getting divorced for the second or third time, whatever it is, that there's a sense that we have to do it alone, and that we have to kind of buck up and almost pretend like everything's okay and that we're okay and, oh, okay, I can handle this, when inside we really want to just throw in the towel. So I'm hoping that this group will kind of be an inspiration for women who are leaders, business owners, or just ladies who are going through something that need support, and they can come here and feel valued and that people get what they're going through. And, not everyone is as lucky as we are to have amazing supportive husbands and incredible children like you have. So what were some of the other sort of lessons that you learned from that? Like, okay, I wasn't taking care of myself and needed a break. How did your business change after that? Like, what did you learn how to change your business after that?
I definitely learned that I don't have to do it all, and I learned to trust other people, which is one of my biggest faults in life. I just have this lack of trust. Probably stems from some childhood issue, I'm sure of it, but yeah. I had to get to the point where if something didn't work out, it wasn't the end of the world, and I also had to look and literally empower people and say, you've got this. I know you can do it because I've taught you and I've empowered you and I've given you the tools and taught you the method, and if they can do it, great. And making another one is making a quick decision if it's not the right situation, just being quick about it and not dragging on something unnecessary or dragging a person along who doesn't want to do something, doesn't want to do this particular work. Don't force someone into a role that they don't want. Let them go thrive where they can thrive. And that was kind of a huge one for me. I'm like, oh, not everybody wants to do what I do. Okay, great. Like that's a reality check. There's jobs I don't want to do, but I actually like what I do. I like helping people in this arena. And not everyone is wanting to do that or willing to do that. They might thrive somewhere else. And really recognizing that and realizing that everybody is cut of their own cloth and they let them find their joy in another place. So, and trusting the ones that are there to help you.
I struggle with that too. Raise your hand if you have a hard time giving up control. Okay, yeah, most of us. That's, I think, one of the hardest parts of running a business is finding people that you trust are going to do as good a job or maybe even better than you. I'm starting to do that better, and thank God I've got some amazing partners who are helping me with that. And thank God Natasha helped me to hire some incredible models, one of which is here, who is at our casting, Delilah. And we shot an incredible commercial and a photo shoot with your models, and it was so much fun. And if I had tried to put that together myself, I would have probably gone insane. So I'm very thankful for your help. And yeah, I think that's another key lesson, is that as your business is growing, there's something that, like, as an entrepreneur, in my skincare company, I had to let go of 8 people on my team during COVID. And I'm just now building my team back up. But I've had to wear every single hat in my business. And it's exhausting. And there's days when I don't do it as well as I should. But I also know that I'm in a season where I had to do that. I had to roll up my sleeves, and now it's starting to open up. God is like, okay, now you've done that. Now it's time to move to this next phase. And that's actually, it's a little bit frightening. It's causing me to grow as an entrepreneur, as a person, and juggling all of that is not easy. There's days when I am torn in all these different directions as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, and taking a break is really hard, Yeah. And so I'm trying to design my business now that I can do that. I can have the processes that when an order comes in, I go, oh, 3PL or whoever it is, Sarah, is going to ship this out. So it's harder as a product-based business because there's people want it like yesterday, like Amazon is like, oh, it's not on my doorstep, I just hit buy. Like, so they have these unrealistic expectations, but I remind people, hey, I'm a small business, and guess what? I have a life too. So, but I like this. You on your table, you're going to find Crush Your Goals cards and inspiration cards, and I hope you draw some inspiration from these. And if you're a business owner or want to start a business, you'll get some little nuggets from these. But I love this. It says, sometimes you just have to put on lip gloss and pretend to be psyched. And I think that is me at a lot of these events. And in here, I didn't plan this, by the way. I just found this in here. In your bag is your Bella Vida Lush lip oil that you can do that with. And remember this. But I think Audrey Hepburn, or maybe it was Coco Chanel said, if in doubt, add more lipstick and attack. So you know what? It's like we all have to find that inner strength to kind of operate. If you're a business owner, especially in a man's world, it's still kind of a man's world. Even though a lot of men are going, oh, but me, I don't get to. Sorry, it's still a guy's world, okay? All the entrepreneur VC money goes to men. Very small percentage goes to women. A lot of corporations do not have leadership with women. What'd you say?
All my money goes to women.
I'm talking about corporate. But something that I wanted to do special to this event is I have a little card there, and I gave you guys each a little notepad. I'd love for you to write just something that you took from this conversation or something in your own life that sparked that you go, okay, I'm going through this, or I was going through this, and this is how I got out of it. But save a little room, or you could write on the back. You don't have to put your name if you don't want to, but if you would like to share, we can. The other thing I want is on the other side, because my podcast is called Living a Bella Vida, which means beautiful life. I always ask my guests, and I'm going to ask each of you to come up with your own answer and write it down if you would. What's your definition of living a beautiful life? And I've asked that question to every one of my podcast guests, and I get a different answer every single time. And by the way, you might be in my book, so if you don't want your name on it, don't write your name. But it's really beautiful to hear the different facets of how people define that. So Natasha, I'm turning it on you.
All right.
What's your definition of living a beautiful life?
My definition of living a beautiful life is twofold. First part is having the freedom of time to be with my family, number one, because that is my joy and my love. And my second would be to set a goal so big that it makes you nervous and you have to grow into the person who can complete it. Because I feel like every goal that we set is like an invitation to stretch and grow. And if it doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough. So that's how I would say, keep going and just don't quit. You can do it. You got this.
I love that. Yeah, and if your goal is something you can achieve by yourself in less than a year, it's not big enough.
Yes.
Those are
Very
called
true.
to-do lists. They're not goals. If you want to do something great with your life, and it doesn't have to be starting a corporation or a magazine or a modeling agency. It could be something modest, but it's big to you, and you can only do it, like, it takes almost no effort. Maybe you need to go back to the drawing board and really think, why am I setting a goal that's so small when I know I have greatness in me? So I hope that this conversation has inspired you and given you insight, and maybe you heard your own story echoed in it.